So you're never going to believe this.
What's that?
Police came to my house today.
Oh, shit. Okay. All right.
And they said, hey, man, your dog is chasing a kid on a bike.
Oh, okay.
And I shut the door.
Oh, really?
You know why?
No, why?
My dog doesn't even have a bike.
I've seen your garage. I'm sure your dog has a bike in there.
There's a lot of bikes in there. Yes. All right. So Tuesday night on the MCP, we're going to pull a doubleheader before we go ride and eat birria.
Got my Red Bull.
You got your Red Bull going. Yeah. I got a Pacifico.
Nice.
I've been trying to find a beer that in the United States it's close to the Costa Rican Imperial.
Okay.
Because we drank a ton of those Imperials and it just was amazing.
Can't you get that?
I can't find it in Tucson.
Huh.
No. I'm sure maybe I could order it like Total Wine or something, but I don't like it that much.
Yeah. Gotcha.
So someone told me try Pacifico, so I'm giving it a go.
Nice.
Yeah. I'm kind of off the IPAs now, which is good, going back to my roots. Anyways, Tuesday night, we're going to do a doubleheader and then eat some birria, which I've been cooking all day, and then go for a ride.
Nice.
Cross-country ride on big, giant bikes.
Yeah. We're going to go ride the tamest trail in town on our Enduro downhill bikes. Yeah.
The biggest, meanest bikes I have. But anyways, we, coming out of Eurobike, which is going on right now, by the time we release this, it'll be a couple weeks. Eurobike will be over for a couple weeks. But one of the things that we saw a ton of hype about, and actually, I'd like to claim credit.
You do. You get it.
From a few episodes ago. Maybe I tried to find the episode. I couldn't find it. But I did at one point predict that the future of e-bikes was going to be gearboxes integrated with the motors.
Yep.
Which we're going to call MGUs, motor gear units.
Yep.
Motor gear units. But that is all the hype coming out of Eurobike. And so we thought that it would be good for us to just kind of do a little research and share what we know.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, talk it out. Yeah. Because a lot of people are. So
yeah, just talk it out. So there's kind of like two, I think like the general approach we're going to take here for this episode is we've thought through like, maybe some of the just the generic pluses and minuses of an MGU itself. Yeah. Like any MGU. And then we can go into some specifics of like a handful of different MGUs that we know that are coming from different companies.
Yeah. Can I do a quick little history?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. So a couple things, just one for the people that aren't into e-bikes. I'm sorry. I apologize for this episode because this is pretty much 99% e-bikes. E-bikes in general usually have two different ways of delivering power to the wheel, either a hub motor or a motor in the cranks, which is called a mid-drive. Okay.
Yep.
And so
the motor's in the middle of the bike or on the rear hub of the bike.
Yeah.
Or on the front. Is it the front hub too, or just the rear?
It's rare. Sometimes they'll do that like on a trike or something, like the old person trikes. Yep. And just for convenience, but most of the time they won't. And I've seen people put two motors on, like a front wheel and a rear wheel,
just to get it juiced.
Yeah, they do weird stuff. But in general, like the common is rear hub motor or a mid drive, which has got a motor in the bottom bracket. And these motors, the mid drive ones, do have gears in them. So a lot of people think that they're not geared, but they have a motor in them that is spinning too fast for your bike and for your cranks and doesn't deliver enough torque. And so they have usually a gearbox, believe it or not, that's built into them that changes that motor speed into torque. And then it matches closer to what you'd use on a bike. And so that bulky thing that they're bolting in there, that's what it is.
Okay.
So, now your bike, the Rocky, does not have that. Your bike has a different specific motor that's got a lot more torque, and it's got one step down chain, like a timing chain.
Yep.
And then that's it. And you have a normal setup. And so yours is one of the only ones on the market that's different like
that's
that.
That's the Dyname
3s and 4s.
Yep.
So that's a quick history on those. We're going to be talking about for the most part, we're going to be talking about mid-drive stuff. I'm going to mention some other stuff that are hub drive, but just for examples.
And there's a little bit, so you say it's just for e-bikers, kind of, but like gearboxes in general are not just an e-bike thing.
Yeah. Let me back up. So, and then now if we talk about gearboxes, not motors, gearboxes are something that they've been doing for years and years and years.
Yep.
Again, there is a hub version and a mid-drive version. So it's funny because we're going to talk about these two things. They both are doing both ideas, and Pinion is the most popular
gear drive,
mid-drive gearbox. And so they're pretty awesome. They use a bunch of gears, and basically, as you're riding, you can you can shift while you're not pedaling, which is really cool.
Yeah.
So you can shift down while you're not pedaling and get into that gear. And they're using gears in there, and then they usually run some sort of transfer chain or belt to the rear of the bike, and there's no derailleur and no cassette. And so that's the big selling feature. Super low maintenance. They're usually sealed, really, really durable. You can run through mud and they still work great.
But why haven't they taken off if they're so great?
Yes. Yeah. So this is why you and I argued about whether or not they'll go into
e-bikes,
because I've been watching gearboxes forever and they always have big drawbacks. The biggest advantage is that durability, especially in like muddy, nasty terrain. That is such a small, specific amount of people.
Right.
And it's much heavier in most cases. And it's also creates a lot of drag and noise. And so when you actually put it on the bike, it has so many things distracting from the one thing that it's amazing at.
Yeah.
That it's been a hard choice. And it's so much so that, Gates has a
$100,000 bounty for anyone that wins
on a belt drive.
Doesn't have to be a gearbox, but on a belt drive.
But the idea is the gearbox, or Pinion especially, has been really active in this, just trying to make these things as good as possible so that these downhillers can win $100,000. So,
and there's quite a few, even on the World Cup this year, that are using gearboxes.
On the downhill, yeah. Yep. You won't see them on the cross-country bikes, right?
No, hell no.
Because they just don't make any sense. The other gearbox that's out there is like the hub ones. So probably a lot of our listeners have had like a hub motor, a hub
like a 3-speed,
the 3-speed, 6-speed, 12-speed, Alpine. Yep. Sturmy Archer, like one of my old bikes has a Sturmy Archer 3-speed. So those have been around forever, and that's the hub-based ones. Again, no derailleur. You're getting rid of the complication of the derailleur. So the derailleur, I feel like, is like the weakest link, right? I mean, SRAM is trying to make it so that you can take a hit with it. Shimano designed their new derailleurs to take a hit and then come back. It's like Rocky. Yep. They get knocked down. It's Chumbawamba. They get knocked down but they get up again. So these derailleurs are kind of the weak link, and so they've been trying to get rid of them. You can't take a belt very easily and make it shift gears. So belts usually have to be a single speed.
Yep.
Transfer of power, and so the hub motors will let you run a belt, the hub.
The gearbox.
God, there's 3-speed hubs, multi-speed hubs, I guess is what they're called. I'm plubbing on my words. You can run a belt drive on those. Yep. So commuter bikes are really popular, but in the mountain bike space, neither of these things have been very popular because even though the derailleur can take a hit and it can cause problems, it's the most efficient design. So. And that's why you and I argued, because I'm like, why would they get rid of that?
That efficient design.
Yeah, that efficient design has beaten out everything over decades and decades.
Yeah.
I don't think the MGU will come out. I think it'll be too complicated, heavy, expensive, won't work as well. Whatever my brain is trying to figure out, thinking that it won't come out. And then
I was right.
Well, yeah. We think because, one thing that was interesting in our research, doing my research on this, was all of these other systems are out there, and these gearbox systems have been out there, and even some of the bicycle MGUs have been out there.
Correct. But
they haven't been implemented into mountain bikes, and I'm kind of curious why. So there's drawbacks out there that aren't super clear.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
I want to hammer one point, see what you think about it.
Okay.
I think that the reason that they haven't taken off gearboxes, haven't taken off on acoustic bikes, there's a couple of them, like weight or noise, whatever. Yeah. I don't think it's weight or noise.
Okay.
I think it's really just there's additional resistance when you pedal.
Yes.
So it makes it harder to pedal.
Yeah.
And so like but that's getting better. And as a matter of fact, I just rode like Rob, one of our buddies, local buddies here. He's got a hardtail steel frame. I can't remember the name of the brand, but it's got a Pinion electric gearbox. It's not an e-bike, but it's got a Pinion electric gearbox.
It's got an electric shifter.
Electric shifter.
Yeah.
And I rode that thing around the neighborhood, or I'm just around the parking lot, and really didn't feel like a ton of resistance. So it feels like they're getting better. I've ridden some of the older ones and they were super, like you could definitely feel the difference.
Yeah.
My hypothesis on why I thought they were going to take off was the weight doesn't really matter so much on an e-bike. We're already dealing with sound on an e-bike, and that extra resistance, the motor can overcome for you.
Yeah.
So it's a win-win.
Yeah. I think you were spot on because, again, I'm applying that beauty of that derailleur being efficient. And, I don't think an MGU will overcome that. But then I forget that these motors have gotten so powerful.
Yeah.
And
if they got to blow a few watts on overcoming some gears, they can do that.
Yeah. And again, I don't think we'll see in the near future any of this show up on like cross-country bikes. Whenever you're weighing a bike, I don't think that's going to be
that won't be one of the components.
Yeah. But again, remember too, I'm a little resistant because my dream e-bike is, 35 pounds, 100 and whatever Newton meters,
Yeah, it wouldn't be very planted.
It would be. It would be very planted if it had a MGU. Yeah, that was a low center of gravity.
All right. So what we're talking about, so that was a little bit of background.
Yep.
If you guys could follow us at all.
Yeah, I know.
Who knows?
I know.
But what we're specifically talking about today is the combination of a gearbox and a motor in a combined unit, for the most part, implemented on e-bikes.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's 5 different companies that we know about, maybe more. We'll talk about each of them. So basically you get rid of the derailleur, you get rid of your cassette, you get rid of that's it. Just derailleur and cassette go away.
Yeah.
You still have some kind of either chain or belt that will drive the system. But all the gears are held in this little gearbox that's roughly the same size as your e-bike motor today.
Yeah. Yeah. Not too much bigger. A little wider.
From
what we've seen.
We've seen so far.
Yeah.
So to start with, let's talk through, I've just got a list here of like advantages and maybe disadvantages of an MGU.
Okay.
And so the first advantage, I think, is you are always in the right gear. Yeah. So, because a lot of them are automatic or have an automatic shifting option.
Yeah. And so the thing to wrap your head around is there is no gear.
Right. You're always in there's no physical gear.
Yeah.
But you're always in the right. Let's just use the term gear.
It's weird.
You're always in the same gear.
Yeah.
Like if you have 1 through 12, you're always in the right number.
Yeah.
For what you're pedaling. And the theory there is that is going to result in a better efficient use of the battery, which then is going to extend your range. Because on a derailleur system, you could be pushing the wrong gear and making the motor work harder than it has to for the same speed, which then will use the battery less efficiently and reduce your range.
Yeah. And we've seen this with some customers. With most e-bikes, you need to increase your cadence.
Right. Most motors like a higher cadence, right?
Yeah. And some of them, like the Rockies are around 70 to 80. Those SX Bosches, like 90,
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I haven't ridden one of the Bosches.
Yeah. And they want to be at a higher cadence.
Yeah. They want you to be screaming.
Yeah. It helps the motor because the motor wants to go faster and doesn't have a lot of torque. And so this is kind of interesting because these new MGUs. So the Pinion MGU has just taken an e-bike motor.
Yep.
And then remember, I told you that e-bike motor has to step down its speed.
Yep.
To create the torque to be so then they, instead of doing a gearbox on it for that, they just integrated it into their Pinion drive box.
Yeah.
And then they have a lot of years now, because it's been out for a while, of trying to figure out the right ratios.
Yep.
And also durability and things like that. Lots of testing going on to try and figure it out to get it to where it's useful. And those do have stepped gears. So those, when you shift on one of those, they are going into certain gears that Pinion has figured out. So you have set gear ratios that you click into.
So this might be a good time to talk about, there's kind of like, as I understand it, 2 different flavors of MGUs, motor gear units.
3.
Okay. Two mid-drive. Is that what you mean?
No. So there's the Pinion gearbox, which is stepped gears. It's just a gearbox, right?
Yep.
Then there's CVT, which is continually variable transmission.
Yep.
And
continuous variable transmission.
And so those have 2 different pulleys that can change
You're talking
heights.
about CVTs today.
CVTs.
Yep.
They can have 2 different pulleys that can change height. So as one pulley changes and gets bigger, the band around it is now. Think when I say these things change height, what I mean is, like, if you think about your drivetrain, if you're old school and you used to get in your granny gear up front and then your big gear in the rear, that would be your easiest setup for climbing up a wall, right? You'd put in the granny up front and your biggest gear in the back, and that would be this CVT system will then change the front one to the biggest and the back one to the smallest.
The way that, tell me if this works for you. This is the way that I understand CVT. If I've got a traditional chain system, I'm moving that chain up my cassette.
Yes.
And it's moving one step at a time.
It doesn't
clink, 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 clink.
It doesn't have steps. So that's the
No. I'm sorry. On a regular cassette,
yes,
I'm stepping one gear at a time.
Okay,
right?
gotcha.
Regular
Gotcha.
cassette.
Yeah.
And then on a CVT, instead of having like steps, it's like a cone.
Yes.
And then it's just kind of sliding up that cone.
Yeah.
On the front and the back.
Yeah, they do some visual things of that cone.
Yeah.
In cars, it's actually a pulley
that
can open and close. So like the middle of the pulley gets wider and narrower, and then the belt itself or the chain is like V-shaped.
Yep.
And as the pulley gets tighter, the belt gets a bigger circumference or diameter.
Yeah.
And so it's effectively the same thing. In yours, it's almost like the belt, both of them, the belt doesn't really change.
Yep.
But in yours, they would go up the cone and they would be at an angle, and they'd always want to climb to the most least resistance. Does that make sense? And so the cone isn't the best way to visualize it. It's the pulley system, because otherwise the thing's going to try and come off.
We've probably lost all of our listeners here. I think the key thing you need to know is you're not in a CVT, and this is a similar concept on many cars.
Yeah.
Like Nissan introduces in 2007. Subaru has it. It's also
Prius,
a little similar, and
yeah.
snowmobiles have continuous variable transmissions. So this technology,
scooters have been using it forever.
So this has been out for a long time, but like, you're not stepping up. I think the thing you need to understand is you're not stepping up specific gears.
No,
it has a way to change the resistance that's not that.
Yeah, it's fairly smooth, and then the drawback is they're kind of got a kind of rubbery kind of like a delay to their power transfer.
Yeah.
So like
or some of them have had that.
Yeah, elastic kind of feel. And then those are CVTs, right?
Okay, so the first one is a gearbox that's got
actual
just gears. Actual gears. Then there's CVTs, which is what we just explained.
Yep.
And then the third kind is
eCVT. And what they're doing is they're getting rid of that band and the pulleys. And they're using, instead of having a band transfer the power from one to the other and change, they're using a planetary gear. And then they use the torque of the motor to change basically the speed at which either one turns.
So you have kind of 2 electric motors and a planetary gear in the eCVT.
Yep.
You got this pulley system in the CVT.
Yep.
And you got gears in the gearbox.
Yep, exactly.
Just to make it like super simple.
And it's kind of crazy there's lots of different variances that you could say that these are like each other, but the eCVT is using no rubber band. There's no pulley, there's no chain, there's no belt, nothing.
Yep.
It's mechanical, and it's using gears similar to the gearbox, but it's done in a way that it doesn't reuse the same gear. It uses one set of planetary gears that work across it, and then it uses the motors themselves to change the speed of things.
Gotcha.
So you don't have those stepped you don't have those steps like
we have definitely lost our listeners, right?
So to make it simple, the eCVT is using 2 electric motors
and planetary gears
and a planetary system to transfer power from each motor, and then the motors can speed up and slow down.
Yep.
And here's the crazy part, and this has been happening for a while, and they use it in cars. Is if you're rolling downhill and you're introducing, rotation to that motor and you're not giving it power, it can become a generator and it can actually pull power out of your kinetic energy.
So then it regenerates your battery.
Yes, what's just called regenerative. They call it regenerative braking on
cars.
Cars, yeah. But essentially, you can get that kinetic power to recharge your battery. There's a lot of loss there, so people get all excited like they're going to roll down the hill and have a full charge. That's not how it works.
But you might get a little bit.
You get a little bit, and you can also use that motor kind of in cars at least. I don't know if they're going to do this in the bikes. You can actually use those motors to create braking power.
Yeah.
And so
it's almost like an engine brake on a semi.
Just imagine if we all of a sudden started having like wireless rear brakes, where it was in your lever.
Oh, now you're getting crazy.
Right?
Now you're getting crazy.
Your lever sent a signal to your
motor.
To your motor, and your motor put the brake on. So
oh man.
I know.
I hadn't even thought about that. That's crazy. Okay. I think everything I've been seeing is that we're gearing up for an MGU battle.
Yeah.
Over
in the e-bikes.
In e-bikes.
Yeah.
Over with 2 different flavors, the gearbox flavor and the eCVT flavor.
If I were you, I would not invest any money in Pinion right now. So
yeah, gearbox, like
it's not.
It's loud. It's so loud.
They're the first, but they're getting just left behind by technology from a different industry. So that's the big thing that I'm seeing in all this research is all this technology has been coming from cars, and they have been using these systems.
Forever.
And these bicycle motor companies are just shrinking it. Just shrinking it.
It's super cool, and the CVTs. I interviewed last night a car mechanic who understands this technology really well. He's actually a previous guest on the podcast. We called him Uncle Dick. He had to go way, way back into the archives if you want to find the Uncle Dick episode. But he kind of explained to me and was talking about like all the problems that they had in the mid 2000s when the car companies, Subaru and Nissan and others, when they introduced the CVT and they had lots and lots of problems with them, but they've learned.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know this for sure, but logic would indicate that we've probably taken those lessons and integrated those into the designs that are being used here. So we're going to see a battle. I predict another prediction, or maybe it's not a prediction. Everyone's talking about it, between gearboxes and eCVT MGUs. Yeah. Which one's better?
I think it's going to be, so here's my prediction. I think it's going to be a battle of MGUs versus traditional. And
I think that's dead.
No, yeah. I don't want to say that you're wrong because this is a pretty big thing, but here's I was doing some research, and one of the things that I could not get a lot of info is a lot of these gearboxes and hub shifting systems and things like that have been out for a long time, and they have not taken over for various reasons. Mm-hmm. One of them is a company I was looking at, New Vinci, and they've changed their name to
they sold to
Enviolo.
Assume that's an Italian company.
Yeah, and so it's a CVT design for their hub transmission, and it's not a MGU, so it's not combined, but the system works really cool the way that it works. It actually doesn't have any friction parts. It's a sealed unit, and it uses this oil that rotates and creates friction between these balls that are in there. It's a crazy, but they've been out for a while, and I know I've seen New Vincis. I've worked on bikes that had them, and then I got into it a little bit more, and it's like, it's 800 grams heavier than like a comparable roll-off hub. Yeah. You've heard of roll-off hubs? Yeah. And 800 grams, that's 2 pounds heavier than an already heavy system.
Pretty close to a kilogram.
It's 200 grams less.
A kilogram.
Look, I can do math in my head too. So these things have been out for a while. They haven't taken over. The Sturmey Archer, has been making 3-speed hubs and kickback hubs.
Listen, all of the sins are going to be absolved.
All I'm saying
by
is
the motor.
This stuff has been out there.
Yeah.
And it hasn't taken over for various reasons.
Yeah.
Not necessarily weight, not necessarily.
Here's part of like what I know. You tell me if I'm way wrong, because I get something stuck in my head and I can't get off it.
Yeah.
Like I've been thinking about my next e-bike when this one dies, which I'm pretty sure I'm going to kill it soon.
Okay.
I'm going to wait until I get an MGU.
Yeah. Yeah. So keep it going.
And I've heard a lot of people say that.
Yeah.
So if we're all saying there must be something there.
I have friends that don't even want an e-bike and they want to,
they want a bike with an MGU.
Well, they wanted the gearbox bikes.
They want the gearbox.
Pinions or what have you.
So maybe we'll get some more e-bike owners because they can now get gearboxes.
So my big issue is, what are we missing? Why isn't this?
Because they haven't combined it into a mid-drive motor gear.
Yeah, but why do you think Bosch has not done that?
I have no idea.
Bosch has been around doing forever. They do automotive. They know cars.
I don't know. I mean, it was the first thing I thought. When I got into e-bikes a year and a half ago or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, they should make this a gearbox. It was the first thing I thought. Like, why aren't they doing this?
Yeah. I that's one of the things. So one thing that I've seen lately with e-bikes in general is they're all starting to look similar. They're, Santa Cruz dropped their new Vala bikes and their Bullet, and they got away from their VPP and went with a horse link, 4-bar.
Is that because we're figuring out that like a certain suspension design works best with bikes that are of this weight? Or have this?
No, I don't think it's the weight. I think, from what I've heard of people in the industry, is that there's always a challenge of trying to put the pivot where you want it when you have to buy a motor that you have no control over.
I got you.
And so
so this just gets the pivot up out of the way. You've said that before. Actually.
Yeah.
The horse link actually just gets the pivot up out of the way, and it doesn't interfere with the motor, so they don't have to mess with it.
Your bike, in fact, the first version of your e-bike, the Rocky 3.0, had their own motor system, and they could put their own bottom bracket in. So Rockies had an independent crank and bottom bracket system. You ran race face cranks with a race face bottom bracket, and they had a little clutch that you'd put on the Spider. But other than that, there was no, if your crank bearing, went out, you just went to a bike shop, got a set of crank bearings, normal bottom bracket, and put it in the bike. Whereas a Bosch system, if your crank bearing goes out, the whole motor has to come out, be sent off to a service center to get repaired or replaced. Yeah. And so that's one thing, that we're not considering is what happens when something goes wrong. Yeah. 2, when they make these things and try and fit them in the bikes, what kind of limitations, or advantages. Now that if a MGU, you don't need a derailleur anymore, the back end of the bike is going to look different.
So let's run through some of the advantages, because we've got that. So just to recap what we talked about before, 3 different types for the most part: CVTs, eCVTs, and
gearbox, traditional gearbox,
MGUs, all different flavors of MGUs. I believe that eCVTs and gearboxes are going to have a battle for MGUs, and there's going to be people, because there's already people on both sides of the story arguing.
Really?
Which one's better.
What are they saying on the
people that
gearbox?
Like the gearbox is it feels like a bike because you can feel it shift.
Yes.
So it's just a closer experience to like what we're used to in bicycles. And when you're on a CVT, it's sliding.
Yes.
So sort of.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't feel like, you can't feel that shift, that gear shift.
Yeah. I love that, because that's what I'm talking about. Those little differences. In fact, a lot of the people that I saw at Eurobike were like, I really want to see how this does on a trail. Because I think it's great in the parking lot, but not riding it on a trail. And so I know that when my first e-bikes that we were bringing into the shop way back when, I rode a Pivot and I rode a Rocky. And I rode both of them on a local trail called 50-year, and riding the Rocky had almost 0 delay. And so when you go to pedal, you get almost instant power when you're pushing down.
Yep.
Yeah. And when you stop pedaling, you lose your power stops.
It doesn't push you forward.
Yeah, so
some of the systems do that.
Supernatural, like normal feeling bike. And I was riding a techie section on the Pivot, which had a Shimano motor at the time, and it kind of pushed me through where I wanted to go and took my timing away, you know, and I was really upset about it because I pushed through the corner.
You got to relearn how to ride your bike.
And again, for me, I don't have just one bike. I have multiple bikes. So now if I have to relearn that every time I ride it and then go back to something else,
it's hard.
Guess which bike we brought into the shop, you know?
Yeah.
It was the Rocky, because I'm like, I don't like that delay, you know? And so
but everybody's getting better at that delay nowadays.
Well, so what they're now doing is incorporating delay. I still don't like it. I don't like having one bike that I have to get used to.
I got you.
Every time I get on.
So you're saying it's still happening?
Yeah. But what they're doing is they've gotten it so much better now, and you can control it so much more.
Turn it on or off.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. So we talked about the 3 different types of MGUs with eCVT and gearbox battle coming. We talked about the fact that you're always in the right gear, better battery efficiency, more range. You can shift anytime when you're stopped or under load.
Yep.
And so let's talk about the weight. I saw a couple analyses, about 3 different analyses, and 2 of them said that the MGU system was slightly heavier than a motor and a derailleur and a gearbox or in a cassette.
Yeah.
To the tune of around 300 to 400 grams.
Okay.
On a couple different systems. And one guy say it was actually less weight on the Gobao system, which we'll talk about the 5 systems.
The Gobao. Yeah. So
Gobao. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yep. So might be a little less, might be a little more, but it's relatively close. But it is moving that weight. It's moving it from the back of the bike to the center of the bike and low on the bike.
Yep.
And so you're moving that weight to a centralized location and a lower location, which is then lowering your center of gravity, which Dane's going to argue with me on this.
Yeah. Well, don't use the word wrong.
I'm going to use it.
Use it correctly.
Which is going to make the bike feel more planted.
Yes. Yes.
I don't know if I used it wrong or right, but that's what I think. Lower center of gravity, heavier center of gravity, better center of gravity, more planted.
Yeah. If you say a heavy bike rides better because it's planted, that's the wrong way to use that word.
Okay. So, I don't know. That's how I understand it. Yeah. So you'll have to help me understand that. But it also, and I think you can help our listeners really understand this, in addition to moving it to the center and lowering your center of gravity, making it feel more planted, it is also moving it from unsprung weight to sprung weight.
Yeah.
And maybe you can explain what that does from a suspension perspective.
Yeah. So basically is the weight on one side of the shock or the other. And so, for instance, on the rear of the bike, the more weight you have, that acceleration when it goes through its stroke, the travel of the rear shock has to be maintained. And so you have different valving that's going to do that if it's lighter. If it's lighter, you can have a much lighter system. It can be more supple.
Suspension system.
Yeah, exactly.
So you're going to have lighter suspension, and this is how I understand it. Tell me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Better performing suspension with better traction.
Yeah, yeah. I don't want to label it that way just because you can kind of control those systems by changing the damping of the shock. But one of the reasons I think that the Fox Podium is one of my favorite Foxes, but in general gets such rave reviews is because the wheel is moving much more fluidly.
Yes.
Because there's less weight to inertially stop and restart in different directions. And so it has just a better responsiveness. And so
that'll happen now on the back of the bike because we pulled that weight off the back wheel and moved it to the center of the bike.
And what if you get rid of you can, so the one thing that's kind of crazy in suspension in the rear is the wheel path is really, really critical.
Yep.
And this is kind of tricky because we're getting really close to motorcycles at this point. And there's going to be a lot of people that are like, this is just a motorcycle now. You're just making a motorcycle. There's no derailleur. At some point, you don't even need cranks with these things because if you just had a button.
Just a Suron.
Yeah, it's just a Suron. And that may be one of the things that keeps these from permeating too deep, honestly.
Because, well, I would argue it's going to impact, it's already impacting trail access.
Yes, yeah.
And so get to the point where it's like, listen, I think it's already like if you're not pedaling, you shouldn't be on the trail.
If you
on a mountain bike specific trail, or multi-use trail.
But when you look at motorcycle suspension, is very different from bicycle suspension. Very different because they are not having so much
relative weight.
Well, yeah, and they're not as focused on the rider input to the suspension system. Whereas on a bicycle, you are, as you ride. So the first generations of full suspensions look like motorcycles. They had beams that came off, and they were awful. They just did not work well. But we were so excited to have them because we wanted to smooth the ride out, and it felt better, and it didn't beat us up and stuff. But man, when you put the pedal down, you got 50% of your power went to the wheel. The rest, the bike soaked up. The suspension actually would soak your power up, and you would not work out. And so I don't know if this system is going to change how we design suspension to where we don't need to be concerned about that anymore. We're still pedaling it. Does the unsprung weight make it worse? Do we have to be even more sensitive? I haven't figured that out. Like,
that'll be interesting.
Yeah. Like, so a big thing that's happened in a few years is what's called idlers and high pivot or mid pivot bikes, where they run the pivot up higher than the crank, and
couple inches up.
Yeah, and then they have to run the chain over that, and I'm seeing that in the downhill gearbox bikes where they're doing a lot of that. So it's giving them a rearward wheel path that allows the wheel to move more fluidly over bumps. And so
I wonder, and we're deep into the techie shit right now.
So
then I start thinking about pedal kickback and like, have they compensated for the pedal kickback in the gearboxes already?
Yeah.
And so we don't have to have like an O chain or some special hub.
Yep.
Because the gearbox is handling that.
Well, yeah. And does it automatically regenerate your battery?
Yes.
So then
every time you get the bumpier the trail, the faster your battery gets because you're getting regenerative braking power.
So then do they design it to do that way?
So pedal kickback is a feature.
Yeah. So these are the things that are going to come out. This is the barriers that we will see happen. Is that's why these guys want to ride these things on the trails, to find out where the drawbacks are. Because when I rode a Pinion on the trail, I didn't like it. I mean, it had a lot of drag in the gears I wanted to be.
Yeah.
The other thing about the Pinion, this is why I don't think they're a player in this. I think they need to.
They're the only one that you can buy right now.
Yeah, they need to do some serious soul searching right now, because the one advantage is they're making something for non-e-bikes.
Yep.
Right, and so that's their market. They either need to go deep and hard into that, or they need to change what they're doing in the e-bike realm, because one of the problems that I have with Pinion is when you have to pedal. When you have to shift, you have to lighten up your pedal stroke, which is not a big deal if you are a normal rider, right? We all do that on our drivetrains so that they don't
do it today.
Yeah, we do it today on our XT drivetrains so that we don't munch up our gears. But that's all going away. Transmission doesn't need that anymore. And then these CVTs, eCVTs are certainly not going to need it.
So this may be another advantage of the eCVT over a traditional gearbox is you don't need to lighten your...
Not at all.
Like shifting under load, basically.
Yep, exactly.
Yep. Okay, so we talked about a bunch of stuff. I won't recap it. I'll recap it at the end here. But like the next thing I read that was interesting is that the Q factor, which is like how far your feet are apart, like how far the pedals are apart.
Yeah.
Is actually a little wider with these MGUs than it is with a standard motor.
Yeah, and that's just them fitting stuff in there.
Yeah.
So I wonder. I don't know. I don't think that's going to be as big a deal, because like my downhill bike has a 83 bottom bracket, so I already have a wide Q factor on that.
Yep.
And I will tell you that I don't like it. So it does affect me, because when I go through pinches, my big crash on that bike where I broke my leg in half was hitting a crank on a rock and the bike stopping abruptly.
So it's definitely a Q factor problem. It wasn't like a rider line selection or anything like that.
No, I mean, I was going way too fast, way too fast.
So it was a rider problem.
When I ride, I'm now sensitive to that, so I pay attention. And that bike in particular, because it's got the wider Q factor, definitely wants to hit rocks on the side of the trail more. I have to be more aware.
Yeah.
You know,
part of it's just getting used to where it is. If you're used to your things being skinnier, you're thinking that just naturally and even subconsciously, you're thinking you've got clearance when you don't.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. This is, I think, why I'm into those plastic pedals more now, because they slide off and they don't bind on. Yeah.
Speaking of plastic pedals, I'm trying out the new Saints tonight, which have like the plastic inserts skid plates around the outside. All right. So the Q factor is one thing. From a maintenance perspective, it's an interesting trade-off, right? They're saying, like, we don't know yet, but they're saying like you only have to like change the oil occasionally, maybe every 10,000 hours.
Yeah.
Something crazy.
Yeah.
And then, but what I don't know is, like, if you break your derailleur, you're just replacing a derailleur. If you break your chain, you're just replacing a chain. If you mess up a cassette, you're just replacing the cassette. It's a relatively inexpensive, like, portion of the overall system. But if you break a gearbox, are you replacing the whole gearbox?
Yeah. And
or the whole motor gear unit?
I mean, the way it is now with e-bike motors is if you have a problem with one, the whole thing comes out. Again, I keep bringing up Rocky because they're an outlier. They make something totally different from everybody else. But we had a customer come in and he broke his drive ring off of the Rocky. And I fully expected Rocky to send me a new motor, you know, because it was going to be a warranty.
Yep.
They didn't. They gave me instructions to pull that whole thing apart and take just the drive spindle out, replace it, and put it back in. And I was like really surprised.
Did you do that?
Oh yeah, yeah. In fact, it made me want Rocky again because they're the quality, all the machine.
Made you want to own a Rocky again.
Yeah.
Because you sell them in your shop today.
Yeah, we sell them, but because they haven't changed them in so long, they're old news, you know, and so they're not as exciting, you know.
Yeah, that'll change.
Yeah.
I mean, they went through restructure and new ownership, so new bikes will be coming, I'm sure.
Well, and they're currently at 109 Newton meters, 1,000 watts. So they're already competitive.
Super powerful.
Yeah. So, but anyway, my point being is now you have to take the motor systems out and send them to service centers if you can find one to get them repaired, or they get replaced. So e-bikes currently are very warranty based. So I don't know, would this extend the warranty? That'd be a good positive.
Don't know.
You know, if they're telling you 10,000 hours and that's like 10 years, are you going to get like a 5 to 7 year warranty?
It's going to be like a car. You get like 5 years or 5,000, 50,000 miles or 50,000 hours or something.
Yeah, something like that.
That's interesting. I will tell you, the ones I've heard, all of them are louder than just a motor by itself.
Yeah.
The Pinion system is like
super loud,
like so loud. I don't think I could do it.
Yeah.
Honestly. Talked about the big debate. Talked about CVTs failing earlier. There was belt and clutch issues back in the day. All right. So all the generic stuff we talked about, always in the right gear, better battery efficiency, more range, shift anytime, stopped under load, slightly heavier probably than a motor and other drivetrain, you know, derailleur and a cassette. It is centralized lower CG for that weight, makes the bike feel more planted and moves the weight from unsprung to sprung. Wider foot stance, the maintenance stuff every 10,000 hours, but are you going to have to replace the whole thing versus just parts? And it's pretty loud. Are there any other general things you can think of that I missed?
Drawbacks
or positives.
What about cost? We don't know yet.
I have some cost estimates here, but they're based on the bikes and they're really incomplete.
Okay. Yeah.
So,
from what I've seen so far, the only systems on the market are commuter bikes.
Well, you can buy a Pinion. E1.12 MGU today.
Yeah. And so there's that one. And then all of them have to have them made for the bike. So it's not like you can just add this to a bike.
Well,
now you brought up one.
There might be one.
Yeah.
So we'll get to that. But
okay.
There might be one that is that in some cases you might be able to pull your motor out and put an MGU in.
Yeah. Yeah. And then the two big disruptors right now that are causing this whole podcast and conversation and the whole world to talk about this is Gobao. Right? Gobao.
Great.
And Avinox. They're the two that announced this. Gobao, do you know how?
There was more than that, actually. Those are the two biggest ones.
Yeah. There was one other one that I remember.
Owuru.
Yeah, Owuru. And then
IntraDrive and Pinion. Those are the four.
Yeah.
Or five.
But I mean, the ones that are being talked about.
The big ones being talked about are Gobao and Avinox.
Yep, exactly.
Yep.
And so do you know Avinox? Everybody knows. If they don't know it,
they've never listened to this podcast
hate e-bikes
before.
And they never want to.
They've never listened to this podcast before.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you have like a man crush on Avinox.
I do. It's a good motor. And then the Gobao I didn't know about till recently. Do you know who they're?
I don't know anything about them other than it sounds like Specialized, or the rumor is that Specialized is going to use Gobao MGUs on their future e-bikes.
Big claim to fame. Another hot bike to hit the market this year is the Avington Current.
Okay.
And that's who makes their motor. So
no shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
So now you've got, I mean, so I like hearing stuff like that, because then those two companies aren't these, splash in the pan. We just showed something at the
Eurobike
trade show, and then you never hear from them again.
They're established companies.
Yeah, and they're already making stuff for
right. And
companies.
so we can say Pinion, Gobao, and Avinox are established companies as far as we know.
Yeah.
The other two that we mentioned, Owuru, I don't know what their heritage is.
They have one, oh man, I can't remember the name of the bike, but they're the ones that mostly commuters right now.
Yep.
And then the other one, I have an IntraDrive.
IntraDrive. This is a Scottish company.
Oh, if it's not Scottish, it's crap.
All right, so let's talk about each one of these, like what we know about them. So first of all, of the five, we don't know whether Avinox is using a gearbox or a CVT yet.
They've been the most secretive.
We don't know.
Yeah.
We think
shape-wise, they're either using CVT. There's another one that we didn't talk about, which is the True Zero, I think it's called. And that is the only thing that I can think of that they're using that's not an eCVT.
Okay.
So, and just a tight, small thing, this new type of CVT, eCVT, but it's a different one, uses a different system that's way more efficient. And it has a True Zero, which means that when it's, man, I don't even know. I really tried to memorize this stuff, but it's really hard. But this is the cutting edge stuff that's coming out.
Okay.
And that would be the only thing that I think they would have.
They could be using.
Other than an eCVT.
Okay, so we don't know what Avinox is.
Yeah.
But we know that Pinion has a stepped 12-speed. And we know that IntraDrive has a stepped 8-speed. So they're gearboxes, effectively. We know that Owuru is an eCVT, and we know that Gobao is an eCVT.
Do we know Owuru is eCVT or is it CVT?
eCVT.
Okay, all right.
eCVT.
That's pretty big, because all the drawbacks that your buddy said and that happened early on were mostly on CVTs.
Yeah.
And I think the eCVT really fixes that. So,
but it might introduce a whole bunch of new shit.
Well, so it's way more software based.
Okay.
So now a company like Avinox, who's just got a huge software reputation, I don't think they're going to have a problem. Gobao, I don't know, but interesting about them is that bike that they're in, that Current. I remember a presenter telling people about a drawback to it, and then needing to do a follow up saying, "Hey, after I film this, they've already changed it. By the time you'll see this, they've already changed this feature. So they're updating the firmware that quickly." So I think that's going to be the big thing, is it's going to be mostly software. And so, there's drawbacks to that. A gearbox like a Pinion has a motor in it, but realistically, you don't have a lot of software driving everything. And so that is an advantage if you want to talk about a more robust system that's not relying on, if you get a bug, what if that's the new thing? We have to watch out for viruses.
You're getting hacked.
Yeah, you get hacked.
I'm going to roll by. You laugh, but I'm going to figure this shit out.
Serious.
I'm going to roll by you one day. I'm going to be like, have a little clicker. I'm going to click something.
Like a little Bluetooth. It's Bluetooth. It's pretty open.
And your system, I'm just going to shut down your motor. Anytime you're wet, that's what I'm going to do. Anytime you're blowing me away, I'm just going to shut your motor down.
That could happen. It could be like e-bike terrorism.
That was already happening with with shifters. I'd heard some of the roadies, maybe it was some of the early systems, maybe some of the early SRAM systems would cross connect and they would roll up next to their buddy and shift their bike their bike.
I haven't heard of that. I think they were all worried about it. But I remember when talking to SRAM when they were introducing access and the wireless shifting, how they were saying that, like in the Tour de California, they had a van with 20 systems following the peloton, trying to get crosstalk, and they wouldn't.
They couldn't get a crosstalk, so they got those unique identifiers.
But Mavic had a wireless system way back when, and I bet you they had more problems because the protocols weren't as figured out.
Weren't as figured out back then.
So
So it's all interesting stuff. There's a couple more things that we know. So first of all, one of the things that I researched, we call it in the defense industry or in the space industry, we call it technical readiness level or manufacturing readiness level, TRL or MRL.
So it's technicals like prototypes in the works.
Well, okay. So like the technical readiness is like how mature is the design.
Okay.
And the manufacturing readiness is like how mature is the manufacturing process. And you can have a system that's completely designed, but is not manufacturable yet.
Like they can't figure out how to make it.
You got to work on the process of making it.
Okay.
So if we just think about this, there's a whole bunch of different numbers and it's complicated. We think it's really simple. There's like prototypes, pre-production, and production.
Okay.
Yeah. Think of those three phases.
Yeah.
And I looked at each of these systems. The Pinion MGU is in production.
Yep. Yeah.
So you can buy it today.
Yep.
It's on bikes today. The Owuru and Gobao and IntraDrive are all pre-production.
Yep.
And the Avinox, they're saying is in prototype, but
concept. They don't even call it.
Well, so my system told me that the research told me that it was a concept.
Yeah.
But they're riding it.
Yeah.
People were riding it at Eurobike.
Yeah.
So they have working prototypes.
Yeah, but they had concept, cars. That's a big deal. Concept car to show you what the future is, and then you never see that car go into production.
I guess just in my vernacular, when I think of concept, it's like on paper.
Yeah.
But these things are in bikes working. That to me is a prototype.
I gotcha.
Right.
I'm relating to the cars where you can have a concept car. You can drive it. I've seen people drive them. Yes. But don't get too close.
We're merging the vernaculars from multiple different industries here. Yeah. But they built at least a few of them. Yeah. Because they had, and they work.
Same for the Gobao.
Yeah. Those are all pre-production.
Yeah.
And the Avinox is not yet pre-production. It's in prototype phase. So it'll mature a little bit more before it gets to pre-production. Like they're saying that the Owuru, the Gobao, and the IntraDrive are going to be released relatively quickly. Well, at least the Owuru, they're saying late this year.
Okay.
Gobao, early next year. IntraDrive, early next year. And they don't know on Avinox.
Yeah, we heard a year.
So that would make sense.
But it could be 28.
It could be 28.
Because
the only thing because that's what the analysis suggested was 28. But I challenged it. Because what we're seeing is that Avinox is releasing products way faster than the typical bike industry deals with.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And so I think my hypothesis is because they're used to like the commercial product release schedule, for drones and the other products that they have, they turn those products much faster.
Yeah.
The bike industry moves much slower than typical consumer products. So I think DJI or Avinox, same company, right? They are just accustomed to releasing things faster. Their systems are set up to go faster. I think this thing will come out faster. And they've proven that already. Avinox and Amflow have released bikes faster than any other company we've seen.
Yeah.
New bikes come out.
Yeah, annoyingly. So, yes.
Well, because that interrupts the buying cycle. Because you still have product on your floor and they're already coming out with the next one. So the consumers are all like, oh, give me the new shiny thing.
Yeah.
I don't want to buy your old.
Also, the consumers don't, they've been trained.
Yeah. They're accustomed. They're like, they're not ready for it.
I got 3 or 4 years on this product and then I'll look for the new one. And it's happening in a year and a half or 2 years. I've already had 2 customers be frustrated because they had bought
and they get FOMO. They're like, I don't have the new thing.
I want the new one.
Even if my existing bike is perfectly I don't know. What year did my Rocky come out originally? It's a Dyname V 3.0.
It's a 4.0.
Oh, is mine a 4.0?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So you have the Jumbotron. You have
2020, 2021?
Yeah, somewhere in there. Yeah.
Okay. So it's 5 years old.
Yeah. Yeah.
And guess what? I'm not feeling the need to go buy anything new. It's amazing.
And the new one is almost identical to yours, the current new one that just dropped.
Until the MGU comes out, and then I'm going to want that.
Yeah, yeah. I do too, honestly. I didn't want to poo-poo MGUs. I just didn't think, based on what Pinion was doing, that they were going to take over. And so based on Pinion's example, I was like, this isn't going to take over. It's still got a lot of ways to go. But now these two new systems are,
and the fact that they're eCVTs, that takes even some of the loudness and some of the concerns you had with the Pinion out of the equation.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I would say the biggest thing that they're going to fight right now is that they're going to have to program in shifts. So that's what they're talking about. They're going to put in shifts where you can have a button so you can shift. So you don't have to have it, but so many people are going to be used to that they don't want them to not enjoy it.
Yeah.
So they'll have it available.
That was a weird thing to get used to the first time I rode a snowmobile and blew it up on a mountain 20 miles from nowhere in the middle of Wyoming. That was an interesting, fun situation with flames coming up in the crotch. So shout out to Uncle Dick and Uncle Brandon, who rescued me and stopped the fire from burning.
I mean, was it in the snow? Couldn't you just jump off?
It was totally in the snow. I jumped off.
Throw some snow on it?
Put some snow on it to put it out. But then the bike was the sled was 20 miles out in the middle of nowhere. And so I hopped on the back of Richie's and we abandoned the sled.
Were they rentals?
They were rentals.
Oh, what did the rental company
say? We're in a big, we had time. We're in a rabbit hole, but
how was it your fault?
Okay. They were it's totally your fault. You were riding with the emergency brake on.
What's an emergency brake on? Is it a drum brake or something?
I don't know, but there is an emergency brake.
Okay.
Or like a parking brake.
Okay.
Right. So
where the hell is that?
Yeah, fuck, I don't know. So
you got skis on the front.
Here's what I know. When you engage the brake, the parking brake turns off.
Okay.
Just naturally on this particular snowmobile I was riding.
Okay.
We were going down a cliff that was super steep.
Yeah.
And I'm a big speed wimp.
Okay.
I was going 60, 65 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And they were taking turns waiting for me.
Oh, really?
Right? They're like Lacey and her brother.
Yeah,
they were just so far ahead of me.
Yeah.
So we're going down this cliff. And I'm riding the brakes 100% because I'm shitting my pants.
So they think you were using the parking brake. They said I was
riding with the parking brake on.
But you were just riding the brakes.
I was for sure riding the brakes.
Okay.
But it was not the parking brake.
Okay.
I can guarantee that because I was squeezing that handle and the oil reservoir is right above the brake drum.
Yeah.
And the theory is that we melted the oil reservoir and then the oil went down in the brake drum, which was super hot because my fat ass was riding the brake going down the cliff. And then that's what the fire caught. And I didn't even see it. I was just riding and Lacey's brother rides up next to me and he goes, dude, your crotch is on fire. And I look down, there's flames shooting up between I was wearing snow, snow
Yeah. Oh, so you didn't feel it because of
I didn't feel it. Yeah. I didn't feel anything. Anyways, I don't even know how we got on that. With a big rabbit hole.
Yeah. It was a fun story though.
Typically it's you on the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
So this was good. I got a rabbit hole.
Good on you. So.
But the other thing I want to talk about is gear range.
Yeah.
So and help me here because this is new to me, but as I understand it, and this depends on what cassette you have and what your ratio is in what cog you have in the front, assuming that you have a 1x or 1x12. Normal mountain bikes are somewhere around 500%, 510, 520%. Does that sound right?
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure, but when we look at a cassette, SRAM was stamping on there 500 and some percent. Okay. So that's what you're talking about. Okay.
So
I don't even know how. So this is the thing. They'll put stuff like that out, but I don't know how to articulate what the hell that means.
So that means that
it's a difference
how far
between
is
the low and the high.
Correct.
Okay.
How much variation do you have between the lowest gear and the highest gear?
Okay. How can you have 500%?
I don't know. That'd be 5 times.
5 times.
So it's 5 times harder to pedal in the hardest gear than it is in the easiest gear. Is how I would think about that.
Okay.
An interesting thing with these systems is they can actually go more. So you can have a bigger, an easier granny gear and a harder hard gear with a gearbox. And so they can go up to 600%.
Well, so some of the e-bikes now are delivering 600%. What do they call it? It's the power they give you. 600% of what you're doing or something like that.
Yeah.
And so
this
Bosch
is different. This is gearing ratio, but you're talking
Okay.
about wattage output.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you're right.
600%
Yeah.
of that watts. You put in 10 watts, it gives you 60 watts or output.
Whatever. Yeah. Okay.
Or,
okay.
100
Yeah,
watts,
you're right.
600 watts.
Yeah.
This is just the gear ratio.
Okay. All right.
And so,
So a single speeder does 2 to 1,
yeah.
which would be like a 16 in the back and a 32 up front.
So that would be 100%
What?
because there's no range. It's
I
zero.
thought it'd be 1 to 1.
It's zero
That would be your.
because there's no range.
Oh, so we're not talking the gear ratio.
No, we're talking about how hard like the difference between the different gear steps.
Okay.
Like
All
how
right.
hard you're pedaling.
The range of how.
Yeah.
Okay. All
so,
right.
so
This is why I was saying I like
this
it.
is complicated.
Yeah, it is.
So if a standard mountain bike has got a 500% range,
Okay.
this can go to a 600% range.
Okay.
So you could have an easier granny gear
Okay.
and a harder, like whatever the opposite of a granny gear is.
Okay. Yeah. yeah.
your downhill
Top
pedaling,
gear,
top
whatever.
gear.
Yeah. Speed gear.
So the limitations that we have with size and weight in the traditional gears, that can be overcome a bit in the gearbox, and it can give us a wider range.
Okay.
So
All right.
yeah, so we might be able to have like a super granny gear,
Yeah.
or just a crush your nuts hard pedaling speed gear.
Yeah. So I guess that's relative, right? If it can't produce the amount of torque you need to get up,
Oh, now you're getting crazy, but yeah, you're right.
yeah,
you're right.
Like then, are you going to be like not able to get up stuff?
And maybe you don't care about the range, because this is one thing that we like.
Well, range in e-bikes tends to focus on how far you can ride, and that's why I say
Yeah,
the
I'm
range.
sorry.
Yeah.
The gear range, gear
Yeah.
ratio.
Yeah.
Because like one of the things that I laughed about when you first got your Avinox with the M2S motor,
Yep. Yeah.
is that you didn't shift for like 20 miles.
Yeah. So that's that actually is one of the reasons that this makes a lot of sense, because they've come out now. Some of your examples don't have 150 Newton meters. They're
They
like
don't,
80.
But you can't. So this is the nuance, and I was going to skip the torque altogether.
Okay.
Because they don't yet have a consistent way to measure torque at the rear wheel with the MGUs the same way that we measure torque today with mountain bikes or with e-mountain bikes.
Okay.
So if I say like my Rocky's got 107 Newton meters of
Yeah.
torque, is that right? 109 Newton meters of torque. They don't yet have a consistent way across all the brands to say this is the amount of torque that this MGU is putting out at the rear wheel.
Okay.
So they don't have an apples to apples comparison. So the numbers I have in my analysis here are like what's happening in the box, how much torque is being put out in the box, but it's not the same number as what the torque is at the rear wheel. And that's the torque we care about.
Yes.
Is the torque that's hitting the ground when we pedal, right?
Yeah.
That I think will get worked out. So I don't want to quote the numbers on here because
Gotcha.
I don't think they're apples to apples. They're like apples to oranges.
Well, one of the things that I was predicting down the road is that e-bikes are going to start to have less gears, because if they're all going to 150 Newton meters, they have so much torque that you can be in like half the gears. Like you can be in whatever gear you want, half of the cassette, and it doesn't matter. Like if you just turn the crank, you'll have plenty of power to get up the hill.
Yeah.
And so,
I mean, the only downside is like we talked about, these motors like high cadence.
yeah, but that's that when you add torque. So the lower the torque, the higher the cadence needs to be.
Right.
And so, for instance, I want to say that SX Bosch is like 55 Newton meters.
Okay.
And so it needs the 90 to get you to 600 watts of output.
Gotcha.
And if you do a 50, cadence on that bike, you're going to be slow as a turtle because it doesn't have the torque to compensate, and the motor just won't have enough power. You won't have the watts. You'll have 100 watts. And so I made that up, but roughly.
Yeah, I got you.
Whereas the Avinox is 150 Newton meters. And so if you're in a slow gear, like if you're in a speed gear, when you're smaller cogs in the back, and you come up on a hill, there's so much torque available. You can just boost the power on the bike instead of shifting.
Yeah.
And it'll go up the hill, no problem. And so that's kind of weird, so you don't have to shift as much. And so knowing that, knowing all these companies are in this power war, I see SRAM coming out with a 7-speed e-bike group that's got 7 gears that don't have to be that big.
I tell you, if SRAM and Shimano don't figure this MGU thing out soon,
SRAM is, they're
going to be in trouble.
SRAM is just as far behind on e-bike stuff as Shimano. I would say more.
SRAM doesn't even have an e-bike motor.
They
right?
do. They do.
They do?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know they did.
Yeah, it was made by Brose or whatever.
Brose.
And they had some cool concepts because they had an auto function, and they had some cool things that they were doing. They were integrating the derailleurs and stuff. They were doing a lot of stuff before people, but nobody really adopted it. And the few companies that did, one of them went out of business or is no longer doing e-bikes. And so they did not get the market share.
You just said Brose. I heard Brose, Rose with an R, like the drink, right? And it just took me back to a Skrillex song on the Suicide Squad,
okay,
movie soundtrack. Anyways, called Purple Lamborghini. I don't know why you said that. My head went right to that song, and I didn't hear anything you just said.
That's okay. It wasn't important anyway.
All right.
Most of this episode,
we've lost.
Yeah,
like this is the dorkiest episode we've done to date.
This is like what the whole e-bike world is talking about right now, and I really wanted to put it out there. Most of our listeners are going to be like, I don't care.
We're going to see. This will be interesting. This is we talk about e-bikes occasionally. This is the first like e-bike specific episode we've done.
Yeah.
So it'll be really interesting to see how it performs. We're going to do another one that I've got on my list. I think that you'll agree with. I haven't talked to you about it yet, but like it's you should add an e-bike to your stable.
Or if you do, what should it be?
I think it's both, but to me, I want to make the point of why you should have it's not or, it's an and.
Yeah.
You should have an analog bikes and a e-bike. And I want to make the case for why, because that's what I do. And I love it. But okay. So let's recap. MGUs are here.
Yeah. You were right. You were right.
Unit.
Number one. You were right.
Number one. Well, we'll see. I said they were going to take over. They're here. We don't know if they're going to take over or not. The hype feels like they're going to take over, but they could suck. We'll see.
There's a lot of momentum.
Two major things we think: gearbox based MGUs and eCVT based MGUs. 5 different companies: Pinion, Owuru, Gobao, IntraDrive, and Avinox. Most interested about the Avinox, they're kind of blowing the market apart right now. It moves the weight to the center. That's going to open up all kinds of interesting things with suspension.
Yeah.
Maybe more effective battery power, maybe regenerative braking.
I don't think they're going to be as efficient. What do you think?
I think they're going to hypothesis they're going to be more efficient. That's what I'm reading.
Really?
Because you're always in the right gear versus pedaling in the wrong gear like you did that day and overdriving your battery. Efficient from a battery usage perspective.
I was just thinking they're going to take more power and be a little heavier.
I think they'll take less power.
You think?
Yeah.
But now they have 2 motors instead of 1.
eCVTs do.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then the Pinion's just got a lot of drag.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
So I don't know. We'll see. Okay.
Yeah. We'll see.
The big thing that'll tell us is if all of a sudden they start coming out with 800 and 900 watt hour batteries,
which they are.
So then they're not as efficient. Because if they were more efficient, they'd start shrinking. Because they're not going to give you like.
Why wouldn't they give us more range?
Because there's always a weight balance.
Yeah, but if you told me, like my Rocky is heavy.
I know.
That bike is so heavy. But if you told me I could put a 900 watt battery in it, I'd probably do it.
You can. I told you can get an extender. But.
I not an extender. Because that eats up my water bottle.
Oh my God!
And
serious?
I don't like to carry.
It's an e-bike. You don't even need to drink.
Damn. I don't ride. I get exercise on my e-bike.
Yeah,
I do.
I believe it.
I drink. All right, and just so everyone doesn't think that we're just freaking e-bikers. Tonight we're doing a night ride on a cross-country trail.
On our planted bikes.
And we're both riding big enduro bikes.
Yeah.
Pedal bikes, no motors.
Yep.
We do both.
Yeah.
So, all right. They're coming. They're here.
Yeah.
Let us know. I think more than anything, like, are you interested in e-bike content?
Yeah.
Let us know.
Or should we stop it?
And I think we're happy to do either. And there's some things that we can't, that just cross over, that we can't avoid.
Yeah.
But they're here. They're growing. They're a fast growing segment of the market.
Yeah.
We all got them. We love them. They're fun as hell. They're complicated. They're nuanced. There's weird things with trail access we got to figure out.
Yeah. Certain responsibility and ethics and,
these are
morality.
Not eMotos.
No.
These are not eMotos. Anyways, let us know. Appreciate y'all. You got any final thoughts, bro?
That's it. Just go ride your bike.
Punk rock.